How do you describe a Renaissance man? Warren is a teacher and a creator and an innovator and a visionary, and he's able to do so many different things.
Incredibly smart, a very caring man, extremely genuine, absolutely committed to equity, and he genuinely cares about people.
He can be a university administrator where he's creating new programs. He can be a theoretical nuclear scientist where he's thinking about the structure of kaons. He can be someone who's working with students and thinking of new ways to recruit students into STEM. So he's just dynamic and always also warm and kind and friendly and caring very much about all he's doing.
Warren came here to do graduate study in physics. From that, he moved down to Hampton. And I think that's really when his impact on the field began to be realized. He and a colleague quickly got permission to try to organize, and did, a Ph.D. program in physics at Hampton. It was Hampton's first Ph.D. program, and a very successful one. He broadened that out, sought a grant and received it to create a program that brought high school and first-year college students to Hampton's campus in the summertime, all with the idea of engaging particularly students of color in a field that had not at the time seen as very open to them or very encouraging to them.
For several years under his leadership, our doctoral program graduated over half of the minority PhDs to nuclear scientists in our nation. So that's a huge achievement. And this was through founding something called NUHEP, which was the Nuclear and High Energy Physics Research Center, which he directed for years. And it was a place to create research at Hampton University, at a minority university, partnered with Jefferson Lab and other places to nurture this young research program, but also at Jefferson Lab, at this national laboratory, because it was new back then, and they grew up together. And Warren saw that vision.
He was recruited as the chancellor of University of Washington Bothell campus. They knew that he had all of this creative energy. They knew that he had a history of being results-oriented. And I think people that he knew or people that knew of him were attracted to his skills. I don't think University of Washington Bothell campus would be as it is today without his influence. He took a job without buildings or without campus, without anything. He created an institution from nothing.
Paramount to all of this, all along, has been his deep belief that education is empowering, and education needs to be available to everybody at every level.
I think William and Mary has a very special place in his heart. No matter where he went, from Hampton Roads to Washington, he would always find his way back here.
At William and Mary, he is largely instrumental for the creation of the Black Students Organization. Warren was also instrumental in the Hulan-Willis Association. They have recognized him for their highest award, which is the Impact Award. Then the Board of Visitors and his tenure there. Even coming back, after having been chancellor of a university, coming back to be a special assistant to the president to help work through these changes that have now taken place on campus, the memorial to the enslaved, the renaming. All those things are tremendous contributions to this place. But I go back to something very fundamental, his contribution to a change in the way William and Mary sees itself, and sees itself in the world, the whole world, not just a world of majority.
I think Warren's legacy will be people, really. People who remember him, who talk about him, and the inspiration that he's put into them. And they will share that. They will then inspire others. And I really think that's the legacy.
Skip, you have achieved so much in your life. You have contributed so much to the lives of other people. You have made such a big difference to the world in so many different ways. You deserve this recognition. You deserve this award, and I congratulate you.
Warren, you've enriched and inspired the lives of so many. I'm honored to be your friend. Congratulations, Warren.